Tell me about your vision, man.
To help people, man. I mean, that's general, but the big vision is how can I build a personal brand? How can I get more helpful resources out in the world that can add value, right? And so I think there's elements of this that I think I didn't go through at the beginning, or I didn't understand at the beginning that helped me kind of leverage the ability to now reach more people than ever. There was
Mm.
one of my mentors. He got to talk to Richard Branson, who has the 400 companies of you know uh, Virgin Air, Virgin Records, all this, and he got to ask him, hey, what's the most important thing that someone can do to build success in life and in business? He said branding is a big thing. Now, if you
Mm.
dissect Richard Branson's companies for us, for instance, most of them were franchised from his name. He didn't actually just start them. They liked his name and they wanted to be a part of it. So they kind of franchised that because he leveraged the power of the brand. So something that everybody maybe could take away from this, something I learned is that building a personal brand, regardless of where you're at in your career or offering, it can always pivot, but you always carry your personal brand. So the value you can give is what's going to be able to be relational to the value and the help that you can expand and have and give impact with. So my vision is how can I create more content? How can I create more value? Courses, materials, books, programs, speaking engagements, networks, podcast networks, to be able to help serve people on all sorts of different ways with the needs that people have today.
Oh, I love that, man. And I love that you brought up a subject that I'm pretty outspoken about from the opposite angle, yet it's not from a position of that doesn't work. It's from a this too context. And so I'm gonna juxtaposition that for all you visionaries out there. One, I've never heard anybody talk about that personal branding in such a holistic fashion as Nathan just did. It's often used as a way to actually constrict, and it typically ruins an individual's ability to move their purpose forward. And you see that no further than the university models. Universities have existed for thousands of years, and they've done really, really well because they're not positioned based on one person's individual identity. Whereas there's a lot of brands that have a lot of people who self-branded. David Sandler's a great example. We were talking about him before, Nathan. The system, the institute, it's a shadow of the man. And I think that he accidentally positioned his brand too far around himself. I think Tony Robbins may suffer the same fate. And that once Tony dies, there's not really an entity for people to stand with. And I hope I'm wrong about that because he does a lot of great things. But when I look at Richard Branson, most people who know Richard Branson know Virgin, as the base of the core brands. And I believe that Virgin has a stronger chance of moving forward as an entity, much like the universities do. I don't know who the founder of Harvard was. I don't know who the founder of Stanford was. I don't know who the founder of Google is, even though they're still alive. But I also look and juxtaposition that with like George Gervin, the Iceman in basketball. Here's a man who was top 50 that I don't think very many people know these days. Yet they all know the NBA. And the NBA is going just fine. And while it seems like nobody's going to forget Michael Jordan, LeBron James, 300 years later may share a different story. We don't know until we get there. But I want to present both those ideas to you as Vision Pros because I've never heard anybody speak so much truth into the value of a personal brand as you just did, Nathan. And it's something I've studied for a very long time, and it makes me open my ears and eyes open and saying, whoa, what else can Nathan teach me about this? So we're gonna be bringing Nathan back for a much bigger influence. But if you just had one more chance to share one thing with the audience, Nathan, and that was it, that was your last chance to talk to him, what would it be?
Well, I'll mention this. The people that do the most amount of impact are ones that know how to communicate well, and that's leverage with knowing the skill of sales and negotiations. I'm mentioning that this is there's two characteristics that I've seen after training tons of different salespeople and manage people where we're doing millions a month. And the two traits and characteristics that I found that someone was so well with sales was one, they were confident in themselves, knowing they knew who they were. They knew who their maker was. They knew the connection that they have of like identity and not identity crisis, where someone comes across really meek and like weak kind of figure because they don't know who they are. The people that do well in life are ones that are confident, not arrogant, but just confident in themselves. That's the first trait. The other one is conviction behind what they're offering, right? I can have conviction knowing that my kids need to eat vegetables, right? I can have conviction that, hey, I need to find this amazing lady or this amazing man that could be in my life and that can be able to have an amazing relationship with. But even in sales, it has a bad rap because of, the boiler room or the Wolf of Wall Street, where people were out to just take rather than just give. And I think that is put a bad taste in people's mouth. But if you can say, hey, there's one skill that I need to learn right now in your business, it's sales, because that's going to be really helpful. I bucket it in business in 4 different ways. Jackson, you could tell me if you have a different perspective on this, but I find that there's 4 different things in business. You got to know how to market yourself. You need to know how to sell your service. You need to know how to do the fulfillment or, productize something. And then you need to know how to build systems, automations, and leadership within that. And those 4 categories, it's hard to learn a lot in all those things with building a business because there's a lot of things. If I worked for a company, all I needed is to know how to do one of those. And that's where most people are followers, and they just learn that one skill. So if someone wants to learn how to build a business, they got to learn all 4. But the biggest one, the biggest leverage and the bang for your buck is learning how to do sales. Because and this is what I teach a lot of my students, is I can have a lot of leads, but horrible at sales. Or I can be, really good at sales, but no leads. There's a big overlap with sales and marketing that can help you build and scale a business. So if I would leave you with anything, know your maker, build a strong identity of who you are, and then leverage knowing how to make more money so you can give more.
Thank you for being here today. I'm really happy that you tuned in to Vision Pros Live. I'm looking forward to seeing your reactions as these episodes continue to move forward. This is going to get more and more fun. We'll have more and more engagement as well. We'll invite people to participate in the show. And thank you for giving us your time and attention. Have an excellent time building out your vision and becoming a Vision Pro yourself.